how are you? I hope you're good. So today I am here with my September wrap-up and October TBR, or Charms Extra Credit TBR, plus some October TBR predictions. You know. So in October I've only finished 3 reads, so that wrap-up part is probably gonna be fairly swift compared to some other months. I say only, but we sort of forget what the standards normally are and we get a bit carried away with, you know, seeing a lot of people read a lot of books, but 3 is plenty and it's all fine. Regardless, it might be a bit quicker than the other ones. I watched 2 things, I believe. I probably watched more, but I can't remember, and I sort of stopped writing it down. I will start though if you want me to. Let me know if you're interested in that kind of thing and I'll start writing it up again. But yeah, let's start with the wrap up and then let's go further on. So the first thing that I finished was The Wicked Deep by Shea Earnshaw. I don't know if I've spoken about this last time because I think maybe my last wrap-up was filmed when I was already finished with this. I'm not sure. That seems like ages ago. Wow, okay. Anyway, this is a book about a town that gets haunted by these 3 sisters that keep resurrecting themselves every swan season. So the swan season is basically just named after them because they are swan sisters, and it is believed that the 3 girls get sort of possessed by these 3 sisters and then they lure some men into the water as a punishment or just revenge for what they did, and what they did was just accuse them of being witches and then drown them, which is pretty dark. And the whole book is kind of dark, but it's very easy to read. Definitely wasn't scary, at least for me, and I do spook pretty easily, but though I am realizing that I think I just spook easily visually rather than reading stuff, but I think it was really fine anyway. I gave this 3 out of 4 stars and I think that really sums it up. I really liked how this was all set up, however it was fairly predictable for the most part. I did enjoy one set of relationship in here and the other ones sort of felt a bit laxum, with the main one sort of felt a bit I did enjoy the end though, because I'm not gonna say what it was, but I did quite enjoy how it all ended, and it started really strongly and then sort of went downhill from there, but not like strongly. I still obviously read it and quite enjoyed it, so I think a lot of people might really enjoy this as well. Then I read our Book in the Jar book, The Last Namzara. What is this book even about? So this is following our main character that is called Ishkari, and that means basically like a dragon slayer or like a destroyer, and she spends her life hunting dragons, and from the very start she kills a dragon, which is pretty sad, and as dragon times goes, they're not having a great time in this book. But then she sort of connects with these old gods and they give her like tasks and missions and whatnot, and she doesn't want to do them but she does, and it basically goes against everything she believes and against her father, and she has to betray him, and a lot of things did not make sense in this book for me. Unfortunately, it really felt flat. I know it's beloved by a lot of people, although I actually know it's like 50-50. Either people really don't like it much or people really love it, and I'm so happy for those who did. I also really wanted to love it, but unfortunately it just really didn't. It ended up being a 1 star from me, but very different from The Layer of the Offbeat, because I was very passionate about how much I disliked that other book. With this one, I really wanted to like it. I wanted to like another one. You know what I mean. I always want to like a book, otherwise I wouldn't pick it up. It just felt so flat. It had so many actual plot holes. A lot of things just happened, wasn't explained, or it didn't tie up. The only things that I cared about were the dragons. It was just very shallow. Like, it didn't have any depth to me. In this book they do have slavery, and I don't have anything against having that in a book as long as it's like handled correctly. I didn't feel like a lot of things were. I did like the deception that the main character has sort of received, and I did like one plot twist that I did not see coming. I thought that it was like very nicely foreshadowed, but I didn't care for any character pretty much. I didn't like, the plot was like all over the place. It just not. I finished this in like the 3rd of October, and then the next one I finished in like 2 days, and the whole of October I was just pushing my way through this. The only reason I didn't DNF it was because I had this group for the Book in the Jar, and I loved the comments there because it was so like love or hate stuff, and it was really intriguing and it was really fun to read that. But the whole book was so it's so easy to read, but it was so hard to pick it up because I wasn't invested, so it was just so flat overall. Anyway, I wasn't a big fan of it, but I know a lot of people do love it, so do not be discouraged if you wanted to try it out. Still try it out. I would say that within 100 pages though, you should be able to tell if it's gonna be for you or not. But I think the second one is now out and a lot of people are excited for that, so that is also something to keep in mind. And then the third book that I read was City of Ghosts by V.E. Schwab. This is a book about a girl who sees ghosts. Her best friend is the ghost and she constantly gets sort of like tapped for crossing the veil, as she calls it. So she goes into this other world where she goes into this other dimension of ghosts, and her parents are actually people who are now considering doing a documentary about ghosts, and they take her to Scotland, Edinburgh, where she stumbles across another person who has similar abilities to her and brings to her a different type of purpose of the whole existence within the veil. This actually has a very similar tone to me to Vicious, because the reason why she can cross into this other world is because she had a near-death experience, which is basically the whole thing with Vicious as well. It's all about the near-death experience and powers that you gain from that. So it sort of continues with that. It is a middle grade. It's pretty spooky for a middle grade, I think. I mean, it's not scary by any means, but it was really lovely to read. I really loved the writing style in this one. It was very much of a gulp of fresh air after reading The Last Namzara, and because of that I really had a great time with it. I still couldn't give it 5 stars because I don't feel that strongly about it. It was a middle of 4 stars if I remember correctly. It was not a lot of intrigue for me. It's obviously middle grade, so you know what's happening, you know what is up, you know. But I did enjoy it, and I probably added more enjoyment because I recognize the places that they're talking about. It's a definitely nice read that you can go through fairly quickly. I finished this in like 3 sittings, so you know, if I can do it in that and I'm a slow reader, then definitely you can as well. And that is all of the books that I have finished. I am listening to Thunderhead, which is the second book for Scythe. I have 4 hours remaining, so not that much, although I did fall asleep to it yesterday, so I might have to backtrack a little bit. It was on a sleep timer, which thank God. I am enjoying it, although I think my headspace is just so hectic for the couple of last months that I doze off, or like I start thinking and making lists in my head way too often, so I feel like I might have to only either continue with series, which I'm doing now. That's why I'm listening to Thunderhead, because it's not the first one in the series, because I can't keep up with it mentally. I just doze off. Not doze off, but I start thinking about things and I don't really listen to it, you know what I mean? Now to just very quickly mention to you what I've been watching. So the 2 things that I think I should mention, and the main things that I watched through this month, I think, is first of all the Dragon Prince, which is another animation that is now on Netflix from the creators of Avatar: The Last Airbender, which you know I live for. This one was I didn't love this one as much as Avatar, but that is a high standard to like, you know, beat. But it was good fun. We basically marathoned it in like 2 settings, and it was good fun. It was only like 9 episodes and quite like lighthearted. I didn't necessarily appreciate the stake of like trying to basically have it in like less frame per second type of glitchy way, but also incorporating this like 3D type of rendering. It's just like it just counteracted with each other, like the styles, and it just wasn't the biggest fan of that. But it's cute, it's adorable. I probably wouldn't rewatch it, but I definitely don't regret watching it at all. And then the next thing, we have watched all of the seasons that are available on Netflix. I think it's 3 of them, and it's called Plebs. I absolutely adore this show. It's definitely super silly. I think it's the first thing that I actually laughed out loud after finishing Brooklyn Nine-Nine and then rewatching Brooklyn Nine-Nine. This has very much of a British type of humor, and it's basically like Friends or that type of thing, but in ancient Rome, and also very British. It's just, I love it. It has a very specific humor, but if you have a similar humor, or you think you have a similar humor to mine, you might enjoy this as well. It's pretty hilarious. Okay, now let's get into our CHARMS extra credit readathon TBR, or tentative TBR. I will try and link the video for that down below, and then if you're not familiar with these readathons, it will direct you into where to check that first as well. So this is my like super tentative TBR, but I think this is what I'm gonna go for. So actually I'm gonna be away. I'm gonna be visiting my family. I'm still gonna be working, but I'm gonna be visiting my family. So I won't be home during that week, which has just so happened, not on purpose. What I'm saying is that I don't know how much time for actual reading I'll have, because I'm assuming after I'm done with my day's work, they will probably be like, how about we socialize now? So first of all, for the prompt, Accio, which is the first book on your TBR, the extension trials, and I don't necessarily really feel like reading it. Hopefully I like it and fly through it. But this is a book for our quarterly book club, and I am excited for that, and it's on the 20th of October if I remember correctly. But I know October might be a very, very hectic month for me, so I want to get that done at the beginning in case I don't have a lot of chance to read. I like really am anticipating this and have not really because I really did like Hunger Games, but I am not a big fan of Jurassic Park, and it's basically pitched as the Hunger Games means Jurassic Park. Hopefully I like it, that's all I'm saying. The author actually sent this book to me a while back herself, because I believe she's also from Scotland, and which is really, really sweet and just adds a bit more personality to the book, so I already kind of have like fond feelings for it. But anyway, excited to see how this one goes. And then we're to Sempra Spell, and that is something that tickles you the right way, and for that one I'm going with the second book, well, second manga, and I hear the Sunspot. This one says Theory of Happiness. This is about two guys that meet in uni. One has hearing difficulties, he is pretty much deaf, and so he needs someone to take notes for him, and that someone is this guy that basically gets hired by him, but instead of being paid with money, he gets paid by our deaf guy bringing him food. And it's just such a like subtle romance and friendship thing. It's just pure awesomeness. I feel so much warmth in my heart when I think about this, and I'm so excited to have the second part. I'm also so excited that is so much bigger than the other one, so I'll definitely have that, and that will definitely give me all the warmth and butterflies and whatnot for the Sempra one. And then if I have time, I will be going for Alohomora, which is a first book in a series, and I would go for the Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep. I've been wanting to read this for a whole while now. I've also played a game in October that is called Detroit Become Human, and it became one of my favorite games ever. It's basically like a storytelling game, and you make a lot of decisions, and there's a lot of routes depending on what you decide, and it's all about androids and humans, and I just, yes. Also, this is an abomination. I bought this book used, and it's just like, this is not the one that they showed, but anyway, regardless. It is just like 230 or 40 pages, but like there's no spacing. Anyway, this is actually the inspiration for Blade Runner, and I haven't seen the movie, so I want to read the book first. I don't know if I'll continue with the series, but I hear that you can just read this and that will be fine as well, but maybe I'll love it and then I'll do that as well. So that pretty much concludes the other one. I will check something on my Kindle if I somehow read these and have time, which I doubt that I will, because I'll be away and it's just bad timing, but 3 would be great. 2 is fine as well. And then I am leaving the rest of it sort of fairly loose and not setting a strict TBR. One thing I know I'll grab though is Muse of Nightmares, because it comes out just as I leave to visit my family. I was considering maybe taking that, if I get it in time, taking that with me and reading it for the CHARMS extra credit, but it's a massive book. And I'm not certain that I will finish it in that week, so that would be kind of wasted of the credit. So I think I'll just grab that once I come back. And another thing I really want to get to is Your Name Volume 1. Someone said there's only 3 volumes in this series, and then I can watch the anime, so I'm very excited. I've spoken about this and my next one in my recent haul, so if you want to hear a bit more, maybe go check that out. And the next one is The Adventure Zone, and this is very exciting to me. I know it's gonna be hilarious. A lot of you guys who read that said it was hilarious, and this is basically a comic book about like a D&D adventure type of thing. It's very playful. So I'm really excited about that, and this is by the guys who run a podcast about like D&D. A lot of you guys said that I should listen to it, which I might at some point, but currently I'm just sort of listening to audiobooks instead of podcasts. Anyway, that really sums it up. Let me know if you've read any of my TBR, or if you read any of my wrap-up and what you thought. You agree with me. Best of luck to you as well if you're participating in the CHARMS extra credit readathon. Let me know your TBR down below as well. Basically, chat to me down below. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Stay awesome, stay kind, and I'll see you very soon. Bye!